Welcome to ET English, the unique English language learning feature of Education Times. This recording is brought to you by Panthea Gunathilaka, the founder of Cleon, Academy for Speech, Drama and Leadership. The Education Times comes to you every week with the Sunday Times, a leading publication of Vijaya Newspapers Limited. ET English introduces a unique way of learning English through stories. It has a short novel and also a picture story, both of which are being published in episodes every week. All the lessons and activities that are given in the feature are from these two stories. Many English scholars accept that when you learn a language through stories, you remember them better. Further, the picture story will complement this by adding the visual component as well, where it will help the readers create vivid images in their minds, helping them remember those dialogues and the words through these incidents. Now we're going to bring the audio version of this feature, where you can listen to the stories and the lessons. First the picture story, secondly the novel, and finally the lessons. Both the stories in this feature are based on stories from the short story book by Mr. Asghar Hussain and published by Vijitayapa Publications. To get the best out of this feature, we suggest that you get a copy of the Education Times and also a dictionary. Also, it will help if you read the feature once or twice on your own. At the same time, try to get the correct pronunciation by listening to audio attentively and repeatedly and trying to read it after every dialogue, emulating the voices that you hear. We shall start now. Let's move on to the picture story. Part 5. And All Because of a Fag, based on a story by Asghar Hussain. Illustrations by Anton B. Pereira. Ravi got up angrily, cigarette in his hand. His face expressed a firm determination. He pulled out his cell phone, browsed through the numbers and pretended to dial someone like a hardcore gangster. Ravi pulled on his ciggy hard with a deep breath. The numbers are pressed as if someone important is being dialed. He spoke in a firm manner.
Hello? Kaluaya. How are things? Did you get the job done? Yes. That's fine. You know, that rascal Tissa is also giving us a lot of trouble. Do something, okay? Remember, not to miss the target. Do a solid job.
The other thugs and the shopkeeper are dumbfounded and start muttering, looking at Ravi.
Who the hell is this fellow? Could he be from our rival gang?
Ravi kept the phone on the table arrogantly and saw the worried and dejected faces of the two men across the table.
Yes, looks like it's working.
Today we start lesson 5. The short story, A Good Medical Boy, continues from The Mirror of Paradise by Asghar Hussain. Mr. Herat, having told us about his great-grandfather, then paused a while. I hope he wouldn't start rambling about an even more distant ancestor. He certainly had a peculiar look now. It was the look of a man contemplating some noble ancestor who had battled the Portuguese at Gunnorwa. Fortunately, his wife spoke before he could open his mouth again. I think we should now introduce Dua, she said. We weren't exactly overjoyed on hearing this. We were sure she had a nice daughter, but at that point we would rather have been introduced to some sandwiches. A few moments later, the girl gracefully descended the spiral staircase with her mother. As the broker had said, her face was round like the moon. Now we saw that it had craters as well. Her face had many pockmarks, no doubt the result of squeezing her pimples as an acne-ridden schoolgirl. Nevertheless, she was a charming girl, and the turquoise blue dress which she wore to her elegance, she had large eyes, and wore pink lipstick to match the looped earrings. Her name was Priyanka. As she shook our hands, I'm sure she heard the rumbling in our stomachs. At least, she seemed to stiffen a bit. After sitting between her parents, Priyanka began to tell us about herself and her ambitions for the future. We heard that she wanted to be a marketing professional. She spoke quietly, in a clear voice, and came across as a sensible girl. However, she must have soon noticed the strained expression on our faces, for she leaned to a side and whispered something to her mother. The lady rose, excusing herself, and walked away. She was back in a few moments, carrying a tray of shorties and fruit cordial. We were immensely relieved. As we munched on the food, the broker turned to the girl and told her what a decent boy Rajpal was. She looked at him with a tight-lipped smile. The conversation then moved to life at campus, and here I got a chance to talk. However, I finished quickly as I felt that we were more interested in hearing what my friend had to say. When all eyes shifted to him, indicating that it was his turn to talk, he assumed a studious air. He then spoke of several things he had heard medical students do, from examining patients in state hospitals to dissecting corpses. He spoke in a very general way, but somehow managed to sound convincing. Maybe it was his confidence that pulled him through. Let us start with the activities. In today's lesson, we have 5 activities. Let's start with activity 1. In this activity, you have to underline the appropriate contextual reference within the brackets. Question number 1. I in the second paragraph refers to Mrs. Herat. The second question. He at the beginning of the third sentence refers to Mr. Herat. Third question. We in the third paragraph refers to Rajpal and Harendra. Question 4. The word her in the fourth paragraph refers to Priyanka. The fifth question, the lady in the text refers to Mrs. Herath. Moving on to activity 2. It's a comprehension question where you have to answer the given questions in complete sentences. The first one, what did Priyanka want to be in the future? The answer is, Priyanka wanted to be a marketing professional. The second question, what did she whisper to her mother? The answer is not exactly told as what she whispered to her mother. The third question, how did the lady respond to her? The answer, she brought a tray of short eats and fruit cordial. The fourth one, what did the broker tell the girl? The answer, the broker told the girl that Rajpal was a decent boy. The fifth question, how did Rajpal speak about the things he had heard medical students do? He spoke in a general way about medical students examining patients in state hospitals and dissecting corpses. Moving on to activity 3. The task for you is to learn words used in different contexts in this activity. And these words are taken from the text. For further reference, you can refer a good dictionary, a thesaurus, or any reliable electronic glossary, and then different shades of meaning of words. The first one, ramble is to talk about in a confused way. Rambling is sprawling, spreading or talking about something at length in a confused way. Rambling can also be walking for pleasure. In another context, you can say, we spent our vacation rambling in Kandy. The second one, contemplating, is considering or thinking about, and Mr. Herath was perhaps thinking of some noble ancestor to boast of his ancestry. The third one, contemplating, we find the same word again, and here is also to think deeply for a long time. Example, Kasun lay in bed contemplating his future. The fourth one, peculiar, in general means odd, queer, eccentric, strange, unusual and abnormal. Mr. Herath had a strange look. Peculiar can also mean belonging or relating to something or someplace. For example, we can say Shakespeare has his own peculiar style. The fifth one, we would rather have been introduced to some sandwiches. In this context, sandwich is a preparation of 2 or more slices of bread, often spread with butter, with a layer of meat, fish, vegetable or egg. The sixth one, I was sandwiched between 2 fat men in the bus. Here the word is used as a verb and it means crammed or squeezed. The seventh one, the girl gracefully descended the spiral staircase with her mother. Gracefully descended means elegantly came down. Activity 4. We have similar words where we use for language expressions from both the narrative and the picture story. Similar words, tight-lipped, assured. Tight-lipped means silent, reticent, reserved. Assured, the second word, which means certain, sure, confident. The third one, convincing, definite, conclusive. The next word, shifted, moved, focused, lifted. Breath, meaning sniff, puff, gasp. The last word given, browse, which means surf, peruse, look. Then we find two-word verbs. Came across, which is meaning met. Walked away can give you the same meaning as left. Pulled through means completed a task. Pulled out means withdrew. Kept on means continued. Browsed through means had a quick look. Activity 5. We have special expressions and the meanings. We have 10 special expressions taken. The first one, the rumbling in our stomachs, means the pangs of hunger. The second one, we were immensely relieved, which means we were greatly comforted or pleased. The third one, a tight-lipped smile, which means a reticent, reserved smile. The fourth one, he assumed a studious air, which means he took on a serious, bookish look, as if to say that he was a studious boy. The fifth one, eyes shifted to him, which means, in simple words, eyes focused as the center of attraction. The sixth one, to sound convincing, which means to seem true and believable. The seventh one, with a deep breath, which means with a profound gasp, inhale or gulp. The eighth one, looks like it's working. In simple words, it means it seems successful. The ninth one, someone important, is the same as a prominent individual. And the 10th and the last expression, do a solid job, meaning complete an assignment successfully. You can see the answers given to last week's question on adjectives. You can refer all 33 words at your leisure time. That's the end of the activity time. Dear listeners, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our recordings. You're welcome to give us your feedback and suggestions on the phone numbers and the email address given in the ET English feature in the Education Time section. We meet again next week. The recording was brought to you by Panthea Gunathilaka, the founder of Cleon Academy for Speech, Drama and Leadership. Until then, goodbye and happy learning.